going to get started on my fog light installation. I'll provide links to the videos where I went over the products I purchased, a link to the aux beam switch installation, as well as the ditch light installation. A few items I'm going to need for this installation is the fog light bezels, some adapters to the plug-and-play wiring that comes with the fog lights, some wire loom, some 18-gauge wire, some trim tools, dielectric grease, zip ties, heat shrink butt connectors, a mini torch, some sheet metal screws, bullet splice connectors, a ring connector, and a crimping tool. There are other common household tools that I'll be using. I wanted to do some prep work before I got started on the installation. So I marked the bezels with a D or a P for the driver's side and the passenger side with a little arrow to the top. And I did the same thing with the lights. I also installed the brackets that came with the diode dynamic lights for the Toyota install. And it has these 4 little dog ears on it. And this is the driver's side bezel and a driver's side light. And you can see this notch here. This just slides in and this sits here. And there is a place to put a screw here and a place to put a screw here. And that will hold the light in. And then the bracket, you can see, has a little movement in it. And these will be tight, these screws that hold the bracket on will be tightened down during the completion of the aiming instructions for the lights. I also bought some adapters, and these are the plug-and-play wiring for the Toyota lights. So this goes into the back of the light, and this plugs into your existing Toyota wiring harness for the fog lights. Now, since I don't have fog lights, I need to run that directly. I need to run the wiring to my aux beam switch. So I bought these adapters that are compatible with this, and those will just plug in. And I will take this and I will add whatever length of wire I need to go to my aux beam switch with my 18-gauge wire, and I will plug it directly into my aux beam switch. I'm at the wheel well on the driver's side of the vehicle, and what I'm going to do to access where the bezel is I'm going to remove a tab right here, a trim tab, and another one right here. And then I'm going to, there's a bolt here that I'm not going to remove, but then I'm going to peel back the felt of the wheel well along here and to about this point, and I'm going to peel that back so I can get my hands in there to access the bezel. It's really close because it's right here. So to do that, these little trim tabs, you can see it's like a little button on top. You just put a little screwdriver underneath there and pop it up, and it will come right out. And it goes in the same way. So I'm going to do that. I want to point out that on the passenger side, very similar. You do the exact same thing. Notice I have my wheel turned into the vehicle on the side that I'm working on, and you can reach in. It's tight. I'm not going to say it wasn't without challenges, but it was workable. The other thing I want to point out is that access from the engine compartment on the passenger side was very limited, if not impossible. It's deep, dark in the recesses back here, and very difficult to get your arm in there. It's just a very tough spot. But on this side, on the driver's side, I have hope that I will be able to actually get my hands in here and be able to access this. That last one was a little easier. Now I'm going to peel back this felt liner. Like that. Now, as you can see, there's bundles of wire that are attached to that bezel. This is on the driver's side. On the passenger side, there are none of these complications. It's a simple bezel removal and installation. As you can also see, there are 5 tabs that hold the bezel in place into the bumper. And to remove that, all those tabs need to be pushed to the outside of the bezel. So the ones on the right need to be pushed to the right. The ones on the left need to be pushed to the left to release the bezel. So I'm going to put my hand on the outside of that while I work each one of those points and get that loose. So the combination of wedging this tool in between that tab and taking a rubber mallet and tapping on the front of the bezel is working really well. I've got all the tabs loose, but I forgot about the trim tab. There's one that sits on top of the bezel, so I need to remove that. So with the bezel loose, I can see now from this side how all of these wire bundles attach. This one, you just need to squeeze on both sides and push it through. There's another one right there, same thing. Then on this side, that just pushes on to that tab. So I just have to probably separate it to release it. And then there are a couple of these at the bottom. That's another, you push on each side and it'll release it. I guess it's just one, not two. And I think that's it. So I'm going to release all of it. So I removed the old bezel. I just pulled it through the back where I have the wheel well opening here. I'm going to feed the new one in through the same spot. And I'm going to just ignore all the wiring attachments for now. And I'm going to start on the inside corner and try and get that seated first. And I'm going to work from this side, and then I'm going to work on this side. So the inside first. So I got this bottom corner set. think I've got these 3 tabs done. Yeah, there. I think that was the last one. I'm just going to look on the other side and make sure that all those tabs are seated, and then we'll do the connections. So I verified that all the tabs are back in place and the bezel is set. So I'm just going to go through and find all those points where I disconnected those wire harnesses and plug them right back in. There goes my light. And everything's plugged back in. I do need to return the trim tab to the top of this. Done. I have the light ready to install. It's going to be really hard to keep a light on it and show you what's going on, but I've already demonstrated how it connects to the bezel. So I am just going to reach in there and get that screwed in. I screwed the bracket with the light into the bezel, so I'm just going to go ahead and get this felt put back in the wheel well. So you just slide everything back in. It's all buttoned up. So still on the driver's side, I'm going to take my connection and loosely seat it in the back of the fog light. There we go. And then figure out where it is I want to route this. And I think I'm going to keep it over by the wheel well. And I'm going to come up through here and back behind this bracket and underneath here to my circuit box. So I don't need very much length here. I need to do the same measurement on the passenger side. I'm going to route it similarly back over the wheel well, behind a bracket, behind this thing on the other side. And then I'm going to take it and I'm going to route it where I've been routing all my other wires. And I'm going to take it along the back of here of the engine bay and up next to a circuit box. I ended up with 8 feet of wire for the passenger side and 4 feet of wire for the driver's side. I've gone ahead and taken the sheathing off the wire, and I've given myself a few inches because that'll be the aux beam connection side, and this is going to be the heat shrink butt connectors for this adapter that I have, and I'm going to do that now, and I'll do it for both the passenger and driver's side wiring. And then when I get that connected to the lights, I will route that and run it over by the aux beam switch, where I will attach the ring connector and the bullet splice connector. I'll just repeat that for the other connector. I routed the wires just like I discussed previously. On the passenger side, I came up from the light along the side behind here and along the back behind this cover and over to the aux beam circuit box. The same on the driver's side. From the light, I came up back here and along the side through here. And I crimped a ring connector for the negative, and I put a bullet connector for the positive, and attach them in the first position on the aux beam circuit box. So the last thing I have to do is make sure they're working. So the car's started, and I'm going to turn on my fog lamps and go to the front of the car and make sure they're on. I need to go through the aiming instructions and tighten the hex screws where the lights mount to the bracket. And I'm going to need to peel back that felt and the wheel wells one last time to accomplish that. And that'll wrap up my installation of the fog lights. If you enjoyed the video, please remember to like and subscribe.